So are you gonna hang out here the whole time?
Yeah.
It'd be kind of cute if you did.
You should get her like a little like dog then.
Last night she curled up right here with us.
That's so scary every time.
That's what I was asking you about.
I didn't hear it the first time.
Yeah, no, that's really what's happening with me is I'm listening to these avalanche like falls because there's so many peaks on this building.
Oh my god.
Because something about my lore is I just happen to live in an old funeral home.
I mean, it's very fitting.
I feel like it is kind of on brand, honestly. Like,
it's super on brand.
Yeah, and my apartment in particular was actually the former parlor.
Oh!
Yeah, so I can show you pictures because I actually have found pictures of when it was the active funeral home. But there used to be an altar where my bed is, so that's kind of like the viewing room is over there.
Girl. Oh.
But yeah, there's a lot of peaks because there's a lot of roofs and there's a lot of snow falling off, and it sounds scary as shit.
There's a lot of peaks.
Yeah.
Wow. I love this for you so much.
Thank you.
We have a lot of like haunted lores.
We do have a lot of haunted lore, but I just like I get pretty good energy, with the exception of I know that the wife of the funeral director died here. Yeah, she lived upstairs in the upstairs apartment. She died here in, I believe, 2001 or 2003.
Oh my God, rest in peace.
Her services were, of course, down here in this parlor. So sometimes if weird shit's going on, I'll just talk to her a little bit. But I don't feel like bad energy. I don't feel like this was a funeral home that was doing, like, sketchy things in the mortuary. Or, like, this is probably one of the least haunted places I've ever lived.
So, that's so funny you say that. I think this is the second place I've ever slept at your, like, where you've lived.
Oh, yeah, because you had slept at the old apartment, and you had been to my apartment in New York, but you wouldn't have a reason to sleep there.
No, and when I was there, I didn't feel anything, because we had, like you had parties there. So I was there with, like, other people.
Gauge that energy, yeah. That place was haunted, though.
But I remember we had to do a whole episode on, like, all of our haunted lore, because, I mean, the nail salon that we worked at.
I think that might be, like, our Patreon thing, is us telling haunted stories.
I think it should be, because there's a lot. Like, there's a lot. We've lived in historic places. I mean...
Oh my gosh, yeah, we're from, the Saratoga area, upstate New York, so if you're a history buff and it's going off in your brain right now, the turning point of the Revolutionary War. Hi. That's us.
There's so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the first time I slept here, I got, like, a buzzing in my brain. I was, like, telling a bunch of people this. I was so excited to come this weekend, and I was telling a bunch of people, I'm like, the first time I was here, it was quiet. Like, I don't feel any bad energy, but my brain was, like, buzzing.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't be quiet. It felt like TV static in my brain. And this time, I didn't really feel much.
The first time you were here, you felt that way?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
And that's interesting, because there was another person present here, too. The energy was much different. I was in a very different point in life. I think my energy was much different.
Maybe she just, like, loved the girls' trip. Maybe she just wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah, maybe Marta did want to be a part of it.
Marta?
Myrta.
Myrta? Stop, that's so cute.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We're queens in disguise and the night is too fine.
Hi, girl.
Hey, girl. Did you want to be a part of the girls' trip? You kind of were.
Happy Valentine's Day. Definitely part of the girls' trip.
I'm so glad you were able to come out here and do this and
Me
film
too.
this. And we don't get together all that often.
No.
So that's why it's kind of special for us that our first 2 episodes are going to be on YouTube and they're going to be videos. So I hope you guys are enjoying it in this platform. If you're somebody that's watching it, if you're just listening to audio, hi. Get comfortable with us because we won't be able to be in each other's presence all the time. So most episodes will probably be audio only, but special events where we do get to hang out together, we're going to make sure that we have a little tea party and film it for you guys.
I love the tea parties.
We love the tea parties.
Oh my gosh. So I'm so excited about today's topic.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going in blind.
Yeah,
Because I didn't want any spoilers.
And I wanted to spoil it. I'm like, I want you to know. I'm so excited. I have so much notes, and I just like, it was like hard to stop almost with the notes. Like, I was even looking at it last night because this one follows a very close timeline. And I mean, we did so yesterday. We walked through a timeline.
Yeah.
But this one's kind of like an hour by hour.
Oh. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm like really, like, I haven't narrowed down at all what this, like, could possibly be.
Yeah. Well, before we get into it, can I give you an episode dedication?
Yes.
Okay, so this episode is dedicated to Vanessa Morales. It is a current missing persons case, a missing child's case, most importantly. In 2019, Vanessa was last seen on November 29th with family, and then on December 3rd, I believe it was several days later, her mother, Christine Holloway, was found. I'm sorry. I wanted to pause and make sure that the last name was correct. Her mother, Christine Holloway, was found deceased, and Vanessa was missing.
Oh my god.
So Vanessa's father, Jose Morales, has been charged with the murder of Christine, but he has not given us any information as to where the baby is. So if you know Jose, or you know anything about this story, if you have seen Vanessa, you know where Vanessa is, we'll post her picture on the socials as well. There are age progression pictures I will post as well, but she was 1 year old when she went missing. She is a mixed white and Hispanic girl with black hair and dark eyes, and she was just precious. So she went missing from Ansonia, Connecticut, so you can contact the FBI New Haven hotline or the Ansonia Police Department if you know anything about her case.
Oh my gosh, just a baby.
Yeah, just a baby.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Ad break.
Ad break.
Alright guys, it's time to crack open the soon-to-be legendary Yap Gab journal.
Yes. That's like our Bible.
Bible. So, you asked me last night if it was true crime. And I said no, it wasn't true crime. But I think I told you that there is... I think I used the word trial, but investigation is a better word.
Okay.
Anything you want to throw out in the dark?
No.
I know you have no inkling whatsoever.
I really have no idea. And this is different for me because I always need to be in the know.
Yeah.
I'm a very nosy person. So I wanted the shock factor.
Well, the 3 most recognizable words... Hang on, I'm gonna say that sentence again. The 3 most recognizable words around the globe are God, Coca-Cola, and Titanic.
Oh, what a slew.
What a slew. This is the story of the ship that watched the Titanic sink.
Oh my god. Oh.
Have you ever heard that there was another ship there?
No.
Yeah.
They didn't show that in the movie.
So there is a scene, I believe, where you can see the lights of the ship in the back, but it's kind of like an Easter egg. So if you don't know and you're not looking for it, you're not going to catch it.
Fun fact about Ange, I've seen that movie I think twice. Maybe 1.5 times because I don't think I watched it in its entirety.
Okay.
And I was scarred for life, so I don't think I'll ever watch that movie again.
Is it because Jack could fit on the door, or...?
The whole thing is just so sad. No, honestly, what broke me is the couple that just, like, laid in bed and held hands. And I'm like, I would never watch this movie again.
People did that.
I would never watch that movie again.
So they have, explored the Titanic now. And I guess before I get into this, I'm just going to give a little debrief. Like I said, it is really well known and recognizable, so most people probably have heard of the Titanic. But if not, if this is your first segue into it, the Titanic was built to be and had the reputation of being the unsinkable ship. It was one of the largest ocean liners at the time and was considered the most luxurious way of transportation for the time. It was a steamship. And it's interesting that it can be known as the unsinkable ship because it only ever went on one voyage.
Yeah.
And that maiden voyage, it hit an iceberg where the ship then split in half and sunk.
So they rebuilt it?
They did not rebuild it.
Wait, it split in...
Yes, that was its only trip. It
Oh.
never made it.
Oh my god, I thought you meant like before.
Oh, no. When it hit the iceberg, it caused the ship to split in half.
Oh my, well, yeah. And in a weird way, too. Oh, yeah.
And not like... So this is the ship.
Yeah.
It hits the iceberg right here. And then it splits right here.
Right,
like, it doesn't split like down the middle the long way. It splits.
Yeah, that is... Wow.
Yeah.
Seemed to be the
Splits the hot dog way, I guess.
Not
the hot dog.
We'll find anything to put hot dogs into a conversation with.
Hot dog, hot diggity dog. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But it was sailing from Southampton, England. It was set to go to New York City. It had some of the most famous and rich people currently on the globe. When it sunk, it was an overall crazy historical tragedy. Approximately 1,500 people died.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
And that's, you think about that.
Oh, yeah.
That is so many people.
That's so many people.
But you think about cruise ships now.
They hold so many more.
They hold so many more.
Yeah, have you ever seen, like, that scale picture of, like, a modern-day cruise ship to the Titanic?
That's literally what I thought of.
Yeah, maybe we'll post that in, not the show notes, but maybe we'll post that on our Instagram when we post this episode.
It's wild to think about.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely wild.
Oh my gosh, you will never catch me on a cruise ship. Wasn't there, like, supposedly a conspiracy that the Titanic was, like, actually a different ship and then they switched it before?
I personally have never heard that.
I'm gonna send you a link for later. We can do, like, a conspiracy episode. And I think that's one of them.
Yeah, maybe that'll be our bonus. We really want to get a Patreon going, guys. We don't have anything yet, but we'll make sure that we post it on our social when we do. If you guys are thinking, wow, this audio quality could be better, you could help us with that.
Mm-hmm.
We're all in this together.
Absolutely. We want to provide, like, super fun quality content with not so much background noise.
Yeah, exactly. We want it to be an enjoyable listening experience for you.
Water break. Stay hydrated, friends.
Stay hydrated. 2, 4, 6, 8. Everybody hydrate.
Love that.
Thank you.
New Patreon sticker's about to drop.
Yeah, I think, not the hot dog way is definitely a Patreon sticker.
I think so. 100%.
Okay, so when the Titanic sunk, there was another ship in that same iceberg field. So we're going to talk about that ship. That ship was the SS Californian. So it was a British steamship and it was a cargo liner. It was on its way ultimately to New Orleans, but was planning on stopping in Boston first.
Oh, wow.
But it was recently damaged in a storm, so it spent some time in London getting repaired.
Okay.
And now it was back on its way. It had been on the ocean for over a week, and so far it's been uneventful. It's just cargo steaming as usual.
So you would say smooth sailing?
You could definitely say smooth sailing. So I actually struggled writing these because this is steamship, and I kept wanting to write sailing when the ship set sail, when it was...
But it wasn't a sail.
But there's no sails. There's no sails anywhere in the story.
It's steamy.
It's steamy, it's saucy, it's...
Oh my gosh.
It's all around a ship show.
A ship show.
Oh god, I love that. So yeah, it's on its way to Boston, and when ships are sailing, they don't just like set straight across into no man's land, like not in the 1900s anyways. Like Columbus is dead and buried. We're not doing that. So they do this route where they kind of go up and they go around and they like circle and they come like back down like the coast of Canada and down. So where the wreck of the Titanic currently is off the coast of Canada.
I don't think my brain has ever registered that.
Yeah, it's like, kind of interesting. But
I feel like I knew that, but like it never is like registered that
it's a different country.
But it's so close.
It is so close. It's in Newfoundland, which is kind of like a straight and shot north from here.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Very, very wild. So, anyway, so this is a cargo ship. There's not really people on it. It's just the crew. Like, they're not bringing passengers. So, we have our captain. His name is Captain Lord. And he's been captain of the ship for, like, this is literally, like, the 1-year anniversary of him, like, being captain of the ship is when this trip sets place. So, we have Captain Lord. He's pretty familiar with the Californian. Like, Lord and Cal are cool. They're doing their thing. They're steaming away.
Lord and Cal. What a ring.
Lord and Cal. There's going to be a lot of names in this. So,
okay.
I don't know. Count on your fingers or whatever you have to do. But right now we're talking about the Californian's ship crew. So we have Captain Lord. And then we have the wireless operator, Cyril Firmstone Evans. And he's the only person aboard that is trained to serve as a wireless operator. And that's what it was called back in the day. In this point in time in 1912, and I'm sorry if I didn't say the year earlier. So I know that sounds very vague to us now because we're like, everything is wireless operation.
Right.
But this was like a very specific system that used sound waves to kind of bounce between point to point. So my understanding of this, and if anybody out there like has a better understanding of this and can like clarify this and like help me learn with you, please do. You know, we're just like, I'm politely asking to be educated about it, so please like kindly correct me if what I'm saying is incorrect. But my understanding based on my research is that this wireless communication, so it seemed like somebody would go and send a message to the station on land, and then that station would then have to relay that message by message, word by word, through this, like, it was a photo phone, it was called, so it's one of the earliest versions of the telephone.
Oh my gosh.
But there wasn't, like, a recording system. Like, there's no voicemail box.
Right.
So, like, if you were on the Titanic and I wanted to talk to you, I would have to go to the station and say, can you tell Ange I said hi? And they would write down, can you tell Ange I said hi? And then the wireless operator from the station will call the wireless operator, or when the wireless operator on the ship is available, they'll contact the station and they'll say, can you send all the messages over? And they'll say, we have a message from Gab to Ange saying, can you tell Ange I say hi?
Oh my gosh.
Because clearly I didn't understand the format, so that's the way I wrote it. Can you tell Ange I say hi?
Right. I don't know, can you?
I thought that was up to Mr. Evans, I guess.
Oh my gosh, Mr. Evans, no pressure or anything.
Well, I guess not on the Californian, but that's kind of how that worked, just for some clarification. So he's the only person on the boat that can do this.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's just
him.
And so the ship is sailing along and they're coming up into like a field of icebergs and like they're detecting it on all their equipment. There's 3 icebergs surrounding them. So they let the nearby ship, the Antillean, know, hi, we're surrounded by icebergs. And this is at 6:30 p.m. So this is when we kind of like start keeping track of what time it is.
Okay.
So over on the Titanic, we have Harold Bride, who's a wireless operator. And he's not the only one. The Titanic's, this luxury liner, it's got multiple.
Right.
So we're starting with Bride. And he also received the message, and he goes up to the bridge, and he informs them the bridge is kind of like the cockpit of the ship. So he goes up, he informs them, he lets them know what's going on, that, there's icebergs up ahead. So the Titanic was warned that there's icebergs up ahead. And then going back over to the Californian, we have Lord, he's been leading the ship at this point, and when they're entering that iceberg territory, he makes the decision that he's going to stop the boat. He's like, it's getting late, it's getting dark, we're not going to keep setting sail.
Right.
We're not going to keep steaming towards these icebergs. We're going to hang out, and we're going to wait until morning. And before he exits the bridge of the Californian, there's records that he says that he saw the lights of a ship within the horizon.
Oh, okay.
However, differing accounts of Mr. Stanley Lord, he said he wasn't sure if it wasn't just a rising star.
Oh.
Those are two very different things.
Very different things.
That shine very differently.
Yeah.
And I think in, like, a world where you're not questioning, is it like an aircraft or is it a star?
Right.
Like, you can tell the difference between a ship and a star. Like,
right.
I don't know.
Wow.
I feel like he said rising because it had a reflection onto the water, which the ship definitely would have had being in close proximity of it. But a star?
That's, like, really, like, star-fetched. Very different
it's
things.
really star out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's... I actually, like, wrote in my notes, did Captain just gaslight himself? It don't add up, sis. And that was me, like, kind of playing devil's advocate, but I decided that I don't really like Captain Lord, so...
Oh, okay. I mean, he doesn't give me great vibes.
No, like, his name just tells me he would mansplain.
Yeah, he seems like... Yeah.
It's giving, like, quote-unquote Lord Disick vibes.
Yes.
Hate it.
Hate it. I'm not here for it.
Yeah, so he leaves the bridge, and he goes down into, like, the crew cabins, and he's like, hey guys, it's me, Captain. Made this decision, like, there's all of these icebergs around us, like, let's just hang out. I'm stopping the ship. And while he's talking, he looks around, and him and another crew member, like, he, like, stops, like, mid-sentence, because they both see, like, the lights of an approaching ship, and they're like, what's going on? Like...
Right.
So, the whole crew is pretty much in this room, so Lord says to Evans, the wireless operator, hey, are there any ships nearby that you know about, dude? Like, what's going on? And he says, quote, only the Titanic. Which is, like, so eerie.
That is so eerie.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, them, but no big deal. It's just the Titanic.
Well, I don't think it was, like, just the Titanic. I think it was, like, significant of saying, that's the only one. It's just, like,
oh my
the
God.
Titanic and us out here. Like...
It's okay giving, like, battleship rivalry.
Some battleship rivalry. So, Captain Lord says to Evans, like, go tell her that we're stopped. Go make sure, like, she knows that we're stopped, and go see if there's any other ships nearby, too, and make sure that they know we're stopped. Because if you remember earlier, we had the Antillian that was nearby.
Yeah.
And we'll eventually have another ship that comes into play as well.
Oh my gosh.
So, he listens, he does it, he, informs everybody. And, like, going over to the Titanic, they have multiple wireless operators. So, Harold Bride takes a break, and Jack Phillips comes in, and he's on duty now.
Okay.
So, we've got the second guy to take over as wireless operator there. So, we can always, like, speculate, was there not communication between the two of them? Like, what's going on over there? But we know that Harold Bride received the iceberg message initially that was sent out to the Antillian, because the way this wireless operation works is kind of like a walkie-talkie.
Okay, that's all I imagined.
Yeah, if you have, like, I don't know if you ever had, like, a walkie-talkie system as a kid where you had, like, 3 or 4.
Oh, yeah.
But the one that's kind of, like, closest will, like, drown out.
Yeah.
What, like, if there's one in a distance, it's kind of like a radio station, I guess. Like, if you're coming into a closer radio station, it'll drown out the one that's farther away.
Right.
And the same thing would happen with these messages that are coming in. So they're receiving them one at a time. We know Harold Bride got the message of the 3 icebergs nearby, and now we're on to Jack Phillips. And he's our next wireless operator on the Titanic. So he's the person that gets the message that the Californian is stopped.
You sound like a steamboat. Okay, Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, there was no Steamboat Willie. This is not a happy story.
No.
Okay, so before I had a coughing fit, what I was telling you was that Jack Phillips was the wireless operator that was on duty when the Californian sends the message that they stopped the boat in the field of icebergs. So Jack Phillips is working on receiving all of the passenger messages, though, from the Newfoundland station.
Okay.
So he replies, so he gets the message that they're stopped, and he's like, he sends back a message that has been perceived as irritation, but has been debunked as being, this is just like shorthand wireless op communication speak, and like was not being rude or curt, but what he says is, keep out, shut up, I am working Cape Race, which it was the station in Newfoundland.
Oh, wow.
So keep out, shut up. And apparently Evans wasn't offended by this. He just accepted it. He didn't try to contact them again, but he kept listening to the radio for quite a while now. And this is now like several hours later into the night. So Evans continues listening for a little bit, and then eventually around like 11:20 he decides to turn off the transmitters. He hasn't heard anything. But around 11:30, because they had seen the lights,
Right.
they decide to distinguish their own deck lights. So their lights they're putting out so that they can use their Morse code lamp.
Right.
Because you can't flash the signals in Morse code and have all of your deck lights on because it's going to get confused.
Right.
So they decide to signal the Titanic. And they're signaling around 11:30. And they don't receive any response. But they kind of just like keep an eye on what's going on. 11:40 on the dot, the Titanic strikes the iceberg.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It's
So the one ship was still stopped.
Yeah, so the Californian is still stopped.
And they're just watching this.
They're just watching us.
Because there's nothing else they could do.
Well, that's where, like, people argue. They, like, wonder, could they have done more? And
well, I mean, like, in this very moment, you know, like, there was nothing they could do. They told them, like, hey, and watch out.
Yeah, no, and this was... So at 6:30 they told them, so this is, what, 5 hours before?
Oh my gosh.
Because it's now 11 o'clock?
Right.
Or 11:40. So... And again, like, we can speculate, like, did Bride not tell Phillips? But, like, Bride told the bridge. We know that much. The Titanic bridge was informed.
Right. And, you know, to play, like, what if, like, devil's advocate, too, it's like, they don't have just one job. They have, like, so much going on that they're trying to probably handle.
Mm-hmm.
What if they did slip and it just like slipped the mind, or like communication was just like, you know, they had some other minor thing to take care of. Like, you know, it's so crazy to think about.
I mean, it is, but like, when you think about the hierarchy of a ship also, you have the captain, who of course is like, that's who's in charge.
Right.
And then you have the first officer, who's kind of like the vice president. And then you can have as many as 7th officers. So that's like, having like all those vice president like steps down the line.
Mm-hmm.
So, because we know there was at least a 5th officer on the Californian, being a smaller ship that didn't have any passengers.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know how many officers and how many crewmates there was, but people were informed. Like, I don't know who was making the decisions. I don't know if there were people freaking out.
Oh my
I didn't really
gosh.
look into that too much, to be honest
I
with you.
feel like that's like really hard to handle mentally. Like,
yeah.
oh my god.
Yeah, but they knew the icebergs were there, and the Californian says that if they were to turn 2 points, they would have missed the iceberg.
So how much is 2 point? Like,
I know it's like a system of measurement points are. I honestly don't know for sure how much that is.
Can I look this up?
Yeah, you can look this up. Something else they said, though, is that if the Titanic was 2 points to the other direction, it would have been completely concealed by the iceberg itself.
Oh my gosh.
So I think like that gives like a little perspective.
I'm gonna look up this measurement. There's a lot of math involved in this that I can't do.
Yeah.
But,
that's how I felt when I was trying to understand the wireless operation, because it's so vague.
Yeah, like, this is, like, kind of crazy. It's just all, like, it's a formula. D equals ST over 60. So, that's not my...
So distance equals... Read me the formula?
D equals ST over 60. So distance
equals
speed and time.
Okay.
Over 60, which I'm guessing is minutes.
Or is it knots? 60 knots. I don't know.
The speed is in knots. So yeah. Oh my gosh, this is...
Wow.
There's a lot that my brain can't handle here. But anyway, 2 points.
2 points. So 2 points one way, they could have saved themselves, which apparently a ship's capable of steering 2 points away. 2 points the other way, they wouldn't have seen it at all, they say.
Gotcha.
So... Sorry, there's just another avalanche, guys. I'm just scared. Somebody get me an emotional support dog. Iceberg hits at 11:40.
Oh my god.
So they continue to try and contact Morse code, though, because they don't know they've hit the iceberg. They're just like, something's going on. Like, they have like this feeling.
Right.
And they were trying to contact them, like, Morse lamp starting 10 minutes before it even struck, so...
Right.
So then we have Herbert Stone enters the picture, and he's the next watch person to take over, and he continues doing Morse code until 12:55 into the morning.
Oh my gosh.
Via Morse lamp.
So over an hour.
Yeah, over and up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's crazy. And he observes 5 rockets launched. 5 rockets!
Oh my god. Okay.
And he expressed that he thought something looked weird, and I'm gonna tell you his quote, but keep in mind, like, language has developed through the years.
100%.
So he says that the ship looks queer, and that her lights look queer. Like, she's out of the water.
Right.
And that was because the ship had broken in half, and he was seeing the bow that was raising above the water as the lower half sunk.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Because they depicted that, in the movie, just like how it happened. So what you see in the movie is exactly...
Yeah, they tried to be as accurate as possible.
Yeah.
I did see in my research for this that the director of the movie, James Cameron, has continued to research the Titanic and continue to donate money. And he has said now that if he could go back and remake the movie, he has different knowledge and there are things he would do differently. Oh. But that was to the best of his knowledge when it came out.
He seems like a good guy. To be doing all of that, his heart's in the right place doing all of this.
It's definitely still a passion project for him. Like, it didn't stop for him when the movie released, which was in, the 90s? I should have had that here. I want to say 97.
I think so. That's like our
time. It's about our time. So he says the lights look queer, though. Something's going on. He does not like it. So, now we're at 2 o'clock in the morning. And the Titanic looked like it was exiting the iceberg plain, but we now know it looked like it was going away because it was sinking.
Right.
Yeah. And we see 8 white rockets. And those are seen by the crew. And they, the crew asks each other, and they're also later asked, are they white rockets? Because white is supposed to be a signal of distress.
Right.
And we now know that at midnight is when the Titanic sent their first distress calls out. But keep in mind, I'm sorry to go back a little bit because I know I started at 2 in the morning, but at midnight is when the Titanic sent out their first distress calls. But at 11:30 was when they turned off their radio transmitter on the Californian.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So 11:30 they turned that off. Or 11:20 they turn that off. 11:30 they start the Morse code, but their radio's off. 11:40 the Titanic strikes the iceberg. Midnight they send out their first distress call, but they don't receive the distress call, but they continue doing Morse code until almost 1 in the morning.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so we're now going to 2 o'clock in the morning, and the crew says it looks like it's leaving, but we now know that the lights were going out of the distance because the ship was going underwater.
Right. Oh my god.
And those 8 white rockets were seen, and we know that the last of the Titanic was fully underwater at 2:20.
Oh my god. And that sounds like such a long time to, think about, but when you're in these, distress situations...
Yeah.
It goes by so fast.
Well, think, they hit the iceberg at 11:40, and they sunk at 2:20. So that's, 2.5 hours they get?
Right.
Or more than that?
Right. And, oh my gosh.
Less than 3 hours.
And so many people didn't know what was going on.
No. And something that I never thought about until it was said on a documentary I was watching about this is that help did come for the Titanic, but the people had no way of knowing that. They thought they were just going to sit in those lifeboats and float around until they froze to death.
Right.
It's really, really
so sad. When people say, tragedies, this is one of the first things that comes to my mind.
Oh, yeah, because there was people from all over the globe on it, so it was it was a worldwide phenomenon. And that's why I kind of started this with those 3 most recognizable words in the world, because that blew my mind. Right. God, Coca-Cola, Titanic.
Right.
That's wild.
It's yeah.
In almost every language, people will recognize those words.
Oh my
god. Okay, so enter the Carpathia. That's another ship we have coming in now. The Carpathia did receive the distress signals, but they were farther away.
Oh my gosh.
So, Lord, and this could be just Captain Lord trying to save his ass, but in later investigations, he states they're about 20 miles away from the Titanic.
Oh my gosh. And that's a long time. That's a big distance.
Well, other sources end up discerning that they were only 5 miles from the Titanic.
Oh.
Because they could see their lights, and they were the only lights they could see. And same with the Titanic, the Californian were the only lights that could be seen. And the Carpathia was about 40 miles away.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the Carpathia is storming as fast as possible, and it's firing rockets to let the Titanic know that help was on the way. And people have argued that maybe the 8 white rockets they saw were from the Carpathia itself saying they're on the way, but the Carpathia doesn't arrive until like the scene of the sinking until 4 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
So at that point, it's scooping up as many people as possible. It does grab, I believe it does get all of the lifeboats, but of course, what we know is that not even half to all of the passengers on the Titanic make it onto the lifeboats.
No, because there's only X amount of lifeboats.
Yeah, and what's sad about the Titanic is it had space to fit more lifeboats, but it wasn't filled to capacity.
Right. I think I remember hearing that.
Yeah, it's really sad.
Oh
and
my gosh.
they were like doing it in such a hurry that they also weren't filling lifeboats all the way.
No, and you
They were just like shoving people on and dropping them.
And people were also like just jumping into the water, thinking that's a better
Some
option.
people wanted to die that way, yeah.
But even if you survived hypothermia, I mean, another thing that, you know, you watch the movie, and obviously the movie has this amazing lighting cast, you know, editing, all these things.
Right, but, CGI, so on and so forth.
Right,
yeah.
But put yourself, like, mentally there for a minute. Even if you saw, like, ship lights, they're not illuminating where you are.
Yeah.
So dark and so quiet because above water, noise travels. But anything under the water, it doesn't. It's muffled. So
yeah, it is.
It's
I mean, there's different like sounds of waves, but like keep in mind like how dark it is too. Like
right, and even if you could hear the ship sinking, that makes noise. Like you're listening to like. And is that considered infrastructure? Like the
yeah, the ship's infrastructure.
Yeah, the ship's infrastructure. You're listening to that sink and collapse and, you know, things breaking,
oh my God,
falling.
yeah.
So, I mean, it's that loud silence.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I think it was probably just loud altogether because you had all people screaming for help also, and the sound of people drowning.
Right.
You know, you have the sound of the splashing of different equipment going in. And this is also something that's wild. The band played until they died.
That breaks
me. So
there's music. That breaks me. I mean, what else are you supposed to do?
That's what they said.
I mean, oh my God.
Yeah, the band went down with the ship, and that's where the saying comes from.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That hurts my heart. I hope they're all comfy in the afterlife.
I know.
I hope there's
so
some fake music.
And what I was thinking of earlier when you were talking about that couple that was holding hands in the bed, when they explored Titanic, which people have now done, and what is crazy to think is that less people have explored the Titanic than have been to outer space.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But they kept finding shoes in pairs.
Stop.
And they couldn't figure out why the shoes were in pairs and what was going on. At first they thought it was lucky, but it was everywhere.
Stop.
And it was that the ocean life had taken the body and left the shoes behind.
Oh my God.
So maybe if there was that little old couple, they're still laying in the bed.
Oh my God, I hope so. That's gonna make me cry. Oh my God.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to break you.
Oh my God. This whole thing is just like devastating.
Oh yeah.
I mean, workers who thought they were gonna come home to their families.
Oh yeah.
You know, the people on the ship, doesn't matter your class or, you know, who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Tragic.
Absolutely
all
tragic.
Around.
Absolutely tragic. And it was supposed to be like a luxury experience. Like,
yeah.
It's so sad. So, in the morning, Captain Lord wakes up and he goes to look out to decide whether or not it's time for him to move the ship. And he goes and he wakes up Evans, who is the wireless operator, and he's like, hey, go ask around and figure out what happened to that ship that was on our horizon, the Titanic. That quote, just the Titanic. Only the Titanic. And at this point, like, they do start moving, and they actually pass the Carpathia. Like, they're going in opposite directions.
Oh.
And the Carpathia is steaming full ahead. And they learn from a ship called the Frankfurt that... I had to make sure it was Frankfurt and not Frankfurt. Frankfurt learns the Titanic had sunk. So they're just learning, I believe it's around 6 a.m., but I didn't write it down, that the Titanic has sunk now. Yeah, so this is now 12 hours from when they warned them about the iceberg.
Oh.
But it's only 6 hours from when it would have struck it.
Right.
And 4 hours from when it sank.
The final sinking, yeah. Oh my god.
So they do eventually turn around and they head back after passing the Carpathia, and they don't arrive at the scene of the sinking until later, until around 8:30. And at this point, the Carpathia was just finishing picking up the last of the survivors.
Oh my god.
So they steam through and they look, and it's literally just a sea of corpses. Because you think of like bodies float.
Yeah, and hypothermia, and yeah, oh my god, all of those things.
Yeah, so this probably goes without saying, but the Californian did not intervene in any capacity in the sinking of the Titanic.
That's so disappointing to hear it.
Yeah, it's really heartbreaking.
So disappointing to hear it.
Yeah, so there's multiple investigations that are launched across the globe into kind of what happened. Initially, we don't know who this other boat is. When the lifeboats are first pulling up to the Carpathia, there is a passenger in one of those lifeboats that says, "Take a picture of us. This is going to be history." And we do have this picture.
Oh my god.
And it is believed that you can see the lights of the Californian in the background.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So it's really sad. And also, like, it's sad to think that the person on the ship had to have that wherewithal, or we wouldn't have that picture.
Right. Oh my gosh.
It's really, really just heartbreaking. So, the U.S. Senate opens an investigation into this, and they subpoena Lord. And according to Lord, he says there was a third ship there, and his story changes a lot.
Oh.
He uses that rising star story.
Sir.
Yeah.
Let's be
There's
real.
an unidentified third ship. His story is conflicting with the different people from his crew itself. He starts conflicting on whether or not the rockets were white or if they believed them to be distress signals. He said he didn't think they were in his testimony.
But there were 8. There were 8 rockets.
And
what do you look at that
and 5
think,
earlier.
Yeah, what do you think that is? Like when you see 8.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And he gives all sorts of different interviews to newspapers as well. And he ends up spending the rest of his life trying to clear his name from this incident.
I mean, sir. No.
Well, the British Wreck Commissioners also opened an inquiry into this, and once again, like, testimony, not good. Like, he claimed they were 20 miles from the Titanic, and it was later decided that they were probably 5.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But this actually brought about a couple of, like, well, laws and standards globally. So first of all, ships are required 24-hour radio watch now.
Good.
Because they just missed that distress call.
I mean, also, like, that thought, like, I don't know why things were done, you know, in that day and age, but why you would turn off a radio knowing that you have other ships around you. That's such a wild thing to
because
me.
he was the only operator, and if there was nobody manning it, like, I don't know if other ships could tell a message was received.
Right.
So, like, I don't know if they wanted to see, like, they didn't want to seem like they were receiving messages when there was no operator.
Right. The whole thing's so strange.
So you're required to have 24-hour radio watch now, even if that means you have multiple people, which it should. And there's also standardized use of distress rockets. So, you know, we have a couple different countries in play here. We have ships that are coming from London, we have, British ships, or in Canada. There's ships going to America that are definitely familiarized with American shipping standards. So there wasn't standardized distress rockets. So they were able to, you know, get away with not having any basically malicious intention in the sinking because they could say that they weren't sure if they were distressed. And there's so many factors of this, of course.
Oh,
like,
right.
nobody serves time or anything.
Right.
But, yeah, that is my story for you today, Ange.
Oh my god.
That is the story of the Californian.
It's just so wild to me all around. It's like when you really stop to think about this tragedy, you know.
Yeah.
And again, not to discredit, you know, the movie, because I think it was good. It served its purpose, you know.
Yeah,
And
it's a little dated now for our information, but it's, you know,
but it also, you know,
and
like
cinematic, of course.
it is.
You have that expectation,
right? You
Yeah.
have that romantic relationship and all
Right.
that, you know, and so I'm not gonna worry about that, but you take the thought of the real tragedy, and it's like devastating. Like you just think of the movie,
because it
really
personalizes it, like kind of like how we were talking about Marie Antoinette yesterday, where she was thought of being like this callous, shallow woman.
Right.
She and both of these episodes are going to come out at the same time, so for you guys, it's not yesterday, and you can go ahead and listen if you haven't listened already. But you know, they use this story to humanize the Titanic, gives you something to connect with, pull on your heartstrings.
Right. It just absolutely devastating.
Yeah.
I wonder if we'll ever get to a point with like enhanced technology. I mean, we have AI and
we have AI mapping of the ship,
but I'm wondering like if there are hidden things, like another picture or like anything.
There is. Yeah. So turns out because there's no light and it's completely dark under there, like paper actually did well.
Oh my god, that makes so much sense.
Yeah. So, divers have, well, not divers, but like deep sea missions have found all sorts of things. They found unopened bottles of champagne and closed bottles of like food and those shoes that are in pairs and papers and yeah, it's wild. I'll have to send you like a link to these documentaries.
Yeah, and we'll link it in the show notes too.
Oh yeah, if you have Discovery Plus, How It Really Happened has a 2-part in their 8th season. That just gave me like a different insight into the Titanic itself. I don't know how much of like the Californian they really talked about, but a lot of what I said about the actual Titanic, I did get from there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, what a freak like accident. That I mean,
do you want to hear something really ironic?
Yeah.
So this was pre-World War II, Jesus, what am I saying? This was pre-World War One.
Oh my god, right.
World War One launched a couple years later, and at that point, the British government had taken control of the Californian to use as a cargo ship for war supplies.
Oh my god. And
the Californian met the same fate. It ended up sinking.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, in World War One.
Oh my gosh. See, I'm a total believer in karma.
I don't know if it's like karma or if it's just like, because at this point, like none of the same crew would have got on it.
That's true.
But I do find it extremely ironic that that boat itself did end up sinking, and of course, all sorts of boats did in World War One. But
I mean, we don't have what we have now, so
this is the only one that watched the Titanic sink.
Oh my gosh! It just so heartbreaking.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, it's
like absolutely like it's so hard to digest because so many people, and then now we have these cruise ships, we have these excursion ships that just.
I mean, do we? Because we did just lose the Titan like 2 years ago doing the same thing. They wanted to explore the Titanic.
I think
that's submersible.
Yeah, I think sometimes you just have to leave some things alone, or some things just want to be you know, I'm a huge, like, energy person. I know that you are too.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I'm like,
absolutely.
sometimes I just believe it's like,
What if they don't want to be disturbed?
they
Like,
probably do. They've been through enough. I mean,
literally.
these people have been through
And
enough.
they did fish out as many corpses as they could find. There is a cemetery dedicated to them in Newfoundland.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
And if any were identified or they were able to connect, you know, they did what they could, but
yeah.
this is also 1912.
1912, you have, I mean, it was cold water, so I think
Yeah,
that would stop decomp just a little bit.
yeah, it did help
But
to
I mean,
preserve.
still, your body's still submerged in water.
Yeah. And
You've
something
got
even
ocean
sadder.
life. You've got,
Oh my god, yeah.
you know,
The salt content alone, like, and bloating, and
yeah.
and something even sadder about, like, that corpse reclaim mission is that they tried to sort them by class too. So it's like even in death.
Oh,
like if they decided you were third class, and I imagine like myself as like, what if I was first class and wearing my worst because that was comfy?
Right.
Which that's not how they did it back then, and that's totally
I'm just
projecting.
We're all brought into this life the exact same way, and we all have an end to life.
Yeah.
Treat everybody the same. Like,
Dude,
be kind. I mean, there's no point in doing that. That was like too much.
Yeah.
Oh, those poor people. Oh, I think we're gonna need like a palate cleanser episode.
Yeah.
That was dark.
Yeah. Well, do you have any other ideas for a weekly segment? Because clearly I can only come up with things that aren't that happy. Maybe a different note that we can end on or something. But we are out there. We are on the social. You can find our Instagram. It is YAPGABPOD on Instagram. YAPGABPOD at Gmail. Yap Gab Pod. We are Yap and Gab, the podcast. That's how you can find us on YouTube. Send us messages, send us emails, connect with us. If you have any episode dedication suggestions, please get at us, or just any episode ideas in general. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to connect. We would love to talk about the hot dog way.
The hot dog way. And there's so many things that we don't even know about. So if you know, we'd love to shed light on things that, you know, might have flown under the radar or just didn't get the attention that it deserved. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what I have. Do you have any parting notes?
No. This was quite a week of podcasts. And, I'm so excited to be making more content.
Me too. This is a great launch. We can feel it. We feel so great about this. Thank you for everybody that has supported us and that has been riding along for this journey thus far. We already have people that are asking us when we're going to come out.
Yes.
Out of the closet. I already did that. But like when we're releasing, we will be releasing on Fridays, and we just cannot thank you guys enough. And we hope you guys have a yappy weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
Like a sheet of glaze, still cross the tide, but I'm unafraid. Torchlight flicker when I make my call. All the knights bow down when I enter the hall. Rise in the castle, throw your hands in the air. Chainmail vines, we don't fight fair. Dagger in my boots and a jewel in my wine. We're queens in disguise and the night is divine.